Hello everyone, Rich from Mowd here. Just want to talk to you about the lawn this week. We've had a terrible few weeks. We've had droughts, we've had storms, and to top it all off, we've had workmen digging huge holes in our garden. I want to show you what we've done to prepare for what we knew was going to be a tough couple of weeks, but also show you how we're going to get the lawn looking back to how it used to look 3-4 weeks ago, which was absolutely brilliant. You can see from behind me we've got lots of bare patches, we've got some new soil down, some new seed. I'm just going to walk through and show you really how we plan on getting the lawn back to its former glory. So before the workers came down, there was an issue with one of the pipes and they had to excavate a couple of metres of soil. Unfortunately that turned into about 25 metres of excavation. You can see some of the new turf that's been laid down now. We're just waiting for that to bed in. But unfortunately that wasn't the end of it. We've also got some bare patches where the heavy machinery, we had a mini digger in here that's torn up some of the grass. If you add to that the fact that we hadn't had rain for 5 or 6 weeks before, the soil was starting to get quite dry and stress the grass out, and then you add on top of that how we've just had these storms over the last 3 or 4 days, which have just made the lawn care a little bit tricky. So we're going to go and have a walk around the garden. I'm going to show you some of the areas of concern that I've got, but then also we're going to give the lawn a cut, and it might look a bit rough now, but once we've given the lawn a cut with the Atco Balmoral, which has just come back from service, once we've given that a cut, it will make everything look a little bit neater, and I'm hoping in around about 3 weeks time you won't even notice in that back lawn. Let's go for a walk. So you see some of the first bits we've got out here is the new turf that's been laid. You can see the extent of the excavation running right from the far side of the garden all the way across to what I thought was the original part that we'd have to excavate. Grass is looking all right. It's a quality turf that they've put down, but what you'll be able to see here is they haven't brick bonded the turf, and they've also left me some nice proud edges that are going to cause me an issue when I come to mow the lawn in a little while, but we'll talk about what we're going to do about that. Good news is, if I give the turf a good pull, you can see it's not coming up. It's fairly well knitted all over, which shows that it's good for a cut. If I could lift any of these corners, we wouldn't be cutting that today, but we're absolutely fine. We've got another area of turf in the middle, and we've got the same here. If I give that a good pull, it's well seated at the moment, so that's fine. A few other areas I've got. You can see just down by the mower here how many stones, little stones that they've left, and I say the Atco's just come back from the service, so the last thing I want to do is dent their bed knife on there, so we're going to give a good rake on the garden as well, collect up some of these stones that are just waiting. Had to do a bit of seeding today as well. This happened, not today, sorry, this happened 5 days ago. Put some seed down, had some topsoil left over and dressed it all. The problem we had is as soon as we put it down we were expecting some quite big storms. One of the dangers when you're putting down new grass seed is that you get all the erosion, and the heavy rain can wash away some of the grass seed, so we covered it with some fleece. A few reasons for that: stops the birds getting at it, stops the erosion from the rain, and also helps keep it moist, because even though we've had the storms, like now it's super sunny, really hot, and the water's just evaporating from the soil, and you need to keep the seed wet if you want it to germinate. No, actually it's only been 5 days, but we have got quite a lot of grass seed coming through already in patches. Some of it's a bit bare, but some of it, especially down here, a lot of new sward coming down, and we've put that in another video so you can see the evolution of this grass seed, how it germinates, how it comes on over the 21 days, but like I say, that's 5 days in, so the fleece absolutely worked this time. A couple of other things to show, a few bare patches. Going to end up dressing. Again, some terrible laying here. I can see, I can just lift the edge of this bit here, look. That's a shame. But I've got a step there in the grass again, more stones. Loads of stones. And so I might have to top dress in here where the edges aren't quite been bedded down, but it's time for a cut, don't want the grass to get too long. And again, I'm going to have to seed and top dress in here too. You can see as well the kind of bare patch. This is where all the OS board was, where they were putting all the spoil when they dug out, and it was under cover for nearly 2 weeks, so you can see how it's gone really bare. It had no sunlight, a lot of the grass down there has died or at least gone dormant, and you can compare that to the rest of the lawn at the back. Now this is the lawn that we had before, and if I just take a look down here, you can see how thick and lush it actually is, and that's what the whole entire lawn looked like before the workmen come along. So I'm going to go and give it a cut now and see what it looks like after a bit of a tidy, and then see what treatments we've got. I'm going to pop some humic acid down and some kelp today, especially on the new turf and also on the grass seed to help it germinate, help the roots establish. But yeah, let's get the cut. So the grass is actually cut quite well. I was a bit worried on the new turf. The mower was going up and down. I can feel a few ridges that will need top dressing a bit later on. But I was worried I was going to scalp a few areas, but actually it's come up all right. And the turf's quite nice to say, it's bedding in, and it's just had its first cut now, around about 40 mil. So quite high across the whole lawn, which is higher than I normally have it. But this is just to try and get some kind of order back in. You can see some of the stripes. Even though this lawn isn't looking brilliant, you can see some of the old areas where I had the stripes up and down, and then you can also pick out the stripes coming back and forth as well. I'll give it a double cut 2 directions just to give that grass a nice even chop. And like I said earlier about the grass, this is how it was before the work. You see how thick and lush that is, a little bit of a thatch layer in there. Need to end up giving that a scarifice soon, but really thick and nice fine bladed grass, which is actually why the lawn suffered down there, because all the very fine grass has died away, and that's why it looks so patchy. But I've no doubt it'll come through. Give it a bit of time, but I'll probably have to treat it. I've also cut the new turf in the middle. Tried not to disturb the seed bed too much. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. And I didn't catch any stones actually. No stones, although I did find one down here, which I'll end up digging out. But again, over here, lawn even under the tree looks pretty good, and I think the reason it looks so good is because of the products that we're using on there. Had a wetting agent, monsoon, our wetting agent went down on it about 4 weeks ago before the drought. It had summer fertiliser as well, 3 month summer fertiliser, and what else did it have? It also had our seaweed, sea of green seaweed treatment, which helps all the nutrients that we put down actually be absorbed into the plant instead of just sitting in the soil. So that's something I'm going to have to do with the new grass here, is give it some treatment probably in a few weeks time when it's bedded in, because there's very little nutrient in that soil and in all of this topsoil which was brought up. So the good news is didn't hit any stains today with the Atco, so I'm really chuffed about that. I'm still going to run the rake over it next week though, the power rake, just to try and pick up any of those small stones. The roller should have pushed those stones down into the surface, but never be too careful, especially when you just had the mower service. So we're going to get that rake next week. The good news as well, there was no scalping on the new turf. I thought there was going to be, because there's a few bumps and humps here and there. So that's good news, but it will still need a top dress. And then I think what I'm going to do next week is get the kelp and the seaweed applied, especially onto the new turf, in the areas where we've got some new grass seed. It will just really help it kind of germinate and then help the nutrients that are in the soil get into the plant and just accelerate and just create a much stronger plant for, especially we're going to have drier summer this summer. I'm looking at the weather for the next kind of week to try to plan my application of the humic acid and so on, and we've got some, it's going to be really hot and dry, but then we're going to have some really heavy showers, stormy showers again, so I may even put the fleece back over the new seed if I know it's going to rain. I don't want to cover it now, I want the sun to get down there, I want to keep it warm, I'll just keep it wet with the hose, but I may have to keep an eye on that, and that's very much half the battle with lawn care. It's planning ahead and sticking to your schedule. So if you like the video, like and subscribe, it really helps us out, and if you subscribe you'll get notifications of when the next videos are coming out. Next week, like I say, we're going to do some spray applications and then going to cut the front lawn as well. Now the front lawn is looking good, so any questions, pop them in the comments below. I'm happy to reply. I'll even do a video if you've got some really good questions. I'll do a video and reply directly to you. Thank you everyone, and see you next time.